Spoilers for Sunrise on the Reaping, Part 2. Commence. No, just kidding. I'll ease into it. Really vibing with the book, like I said in my spoiler-free review of Part 2. I reading it every free moment, which is a great thing to do, and it's nice to be so engrossed in a novel again. Yeah, we've had more to do with some of the familiar faces that are making an appearance in this book. There's been more from BT, more from Wirus, more from Mags. Mostly BT, though, as he and Haymitch are involved with a central plot. And really, the heartbreaking thing for this is that certain themes, certain moments from the original trilogy are resonating and coming back around. You've heard, well, we know sort of what ends up happening to those that Haymitch cares about. We know that from Catching Fire or perhaps Mockingjay. We know sort of what the end result of Finnick's victory is, and how pretty much no victor of the Hunger Games is ever really not just the same again, but even just victorious. They have, from day one and their entry into the games, they have their freedom taken away, they have the trauma thrust upon them, and the Capitol continues to own them. And not just, in the form of violent nightmares that Katniss has, but they've taken everything they ever cared about. And so the only thing that these characters can do is resist. And, that really takes the form in this book with BT's son, Ambert. And I think that it's, as heartbreaking as it is, BT, and I wouldn't have wanted anything less of him, knows and is furious about why exactly his son was chosen and placed into these games. And it's obvious, but the way in which he says it and the plan that they sort of have to unravel it. It's interesting, I guess, looking ahead to Catching Fire and the later rebellion. I said in my part 1 spoiler video, I think it was, that, it's clear that the seeds for the eventual successful rebellion and the blowing out of the Quarter Quell stadium in Catching Fire, is leading. It's clearly the groundwork is started here, but I wasn't expecting them to stage an all-out assault explosion on this arena. And at the end of part 2, where I am, it's just gotten to the point where, like, the lights flicker and Haymitch is breathing in fresh air, only to have everything kind of start back up again. And so genuinely don't know what that case will be as far as that. But it's funny because, retroactively, you almost think like, oh, wouldn't President Snow have been a little worried about the 75th, the third Quarter Quell, given just the devastating amount in which the stadium was destroyed during the second Quarter Quell. I don't know. It's just, but time is around. I don't know how I feel about that yet exactly. It's like, we had a very clear idea of how Haymitch wins these games. Not sure exactly which of that will be. I think it has to be kept, but we haven't seen one word of, like, the force field that happens. So I seem to recall it being like an axe thrown into a force field, and the force field has this reverb effect, and then, Haymitch does end up leaving the arena without killing anybody because he gets the Capitol to kill it. And that does seem to be a theme so far in this book. The way that he put Luella in front of President Snow after the parade and was like, you did this. Even Lulu's line about you'll murder us, putting the blame where it goes. The force field has not been introduced yet, so I don't know if that's part of the new arena iteration or if it'll be tweaked. I fully believe Suzanne Collins has a right to tweak and adjust things, but the purpose of the tank, I'm a little uncertain of, and I'm really interested in, like were they going to flood it? And in general, though, the concept of an arena that's just beautiful looking and tranquil looking, but is anything but, is very Hunger Games. Really, really love that. And yeah, I guess I really do still want more explanation as to what the concept was, besides the fact that it was beautiful. If they were looking to flood the arena, when would that have happened? Is it like kind of just one of the several options they could have deployed? Or, was there something else that was set to happen that's no longer going to happen? I have more questions about the design, but I'm loving the design. We got some Effie, very excited about that. It's the thing about this is it doesn't, like somebody said, who's watching and reading along, that they didn't know that Effie was that much older, because she's in this book and is, working sort of alongside the stylist, or her sister is the stylist, and just, but at the same time, Haymitch is 16, she could be 17, she could be 18. So I think that it makes sense to me. Similarly with BT and Wyrus and all of them, like, even though BT was Wyrus's mentor, if I'm remembering correctly, she could actually be older than him, just depending on what year they were reaped, et cetera, et cetera. So, because everybody's so young, everybody in the Hunger Games is 12 to 18. So there can be only a few years between some of these characters, and that would be totally normal. Of course, Mags, it said, won the games like a long time ago, so she's obviously old even then. Anyway, what else? I just really like, obviously, everything with the newcomers was fun. Everything with Haymitch's persona as the Rascal is fun. The most dangerous conversation between Snow and Haymitch about the Covey and about Lenore Dove that took place in part 1. It's just bubbling under the surface during part 2, and will come to a head in part 3. So that plot line took kind of a sleeper, but seeing the depths, which, Plutarch has really put himself out there, shown his true colors this early in his life, and setting the stage for that eventual rebellion, just leads me to believe that there will be more of that in part 3, more ties forward. And yet, I still find myself wanting to know more about Lucy Gray Baird and things that we can learn about what happened in the immediate aftermath of Songbirds and Snakes. So who knows? It's a fertile world. Anything could still happen. I'm excited about the rest of this arena that we have to see. And, I don't find that this is too repetitive for me of a story. And I really like what I'm reading. I also find, I think I'll say if I didn't before, I think the story is very relevant to our times. There are certain lines in here that are very I'm like, oh, that was written, for today's world, today's audience. And so that is just kind of resonating with me right now. I'm glad this book is out. Grateful to Suzanne Collins, and very excited to wrap up the book and read part 3, and then we'll be discussing it next week on What the Hype. So that'll be very exciting. If you are watching these videos, thanks. And stick around. I'll do part 3 when I'm finished with the book.